Anastasia, I know you mean well, but you're just ripping off the Disney princess formula, hun. Now, I know what you're thinking. Thumbelina did it first. It's just pure coincidence that you, Thumbelina, and Ariel have red hair, blah blah blah. No matter how hard you try, you'll never be a Disney princess. Even if people think you are. You gotta admit, it's obvious why people think this is a Disney movie, right? I mean, just look at the story. The Legend of Princess Anastasia is about an 18-year-old girl named Anya who has a cute dog sidekick, a story that conveniently skips past the entire Russian Revolution and any other significant historic events and instead focuses on a crazy undead monk who has a bat sidekick for some reason who sends ghostly creepy green goblins after said princess who doesn't actually know she's a princess, who also has to endure storms at sea, train wrecks, and killing the undead monk with her shoe, gets married to her true love while also having several song and dance routines. Oh yeah, spoilers. While I wouldn't say this movie is phenomenal, it's not terrible by any means, and I'm happy it exists. Disney tried something similar with Pocahontas in 1995, but the advantage that the story of Anastasia has is that there's far more speculation and mystery there to play around with. Without all the magic, this movie would still probably manage to get along without it, but I'm sure it wouldn't stand out as much. But at the same time, with the magic, it makes certain plot points a little too simple and convenient. But did Anastasia succeed where Disney failed, or was it just using the Disney formula for its own benefit and amusement? Let's take a look. Anastasia was released in 1997 by Fox Animation Studios, owned by 20th Century Fox, and is to me one of the strongest quote-unquote first releases from any animated studio. To date, Anastasia is the highest grossing Don Bluth film. This makes me wonder if the good old reliable princess formula always works no matter what studio is behind it. Well, that's clearly not true. And this isn't the only animated movie about Anastasia, but the less we talk about those, the better. The Legend of Anastasia would seem an unlikely inspiration for an animated musical, but Anastasia picks and chooses cleverly, skipping blithely past the entire Russian Revolution and instead lingers on mad monks, green goblins, storms at sea, train wrecks, and youthful romance. I'm sure many of us would have preferred it to be more historically accurate, but come on! If you want historical accuracy, go watch a bloody documentary, okay? The movie is based loosely on the same speculative story as the 1956 feature film starring Ingrid Bergman. It assumes that when Russia's ruling Romanov family was murdered in the upheaval of revolution in 1916, one child escaped the carnage and survived to make a valid claim for the throne. Oh, wonderful. Overthrown royalty and a claim for the throne and murder. Disney hasn't done anything like that before. Seriously, Anastasia, it's not looking good for you at this point. The movie is set in 1926 and portrays Russians and European countries pretty faithfully while still retaining a sense of mystery and glamour. Oh look! Product placement! So full of whimsy. The story has a haunting quality that is perhaps too sentimental at times, which can put some cynics off. It is a far superior animated princess movie than most Disney princess movies to me because it is contemporary and modern in both its setting, script, and character execution. Voiced by Meg Ryan, Anastasia is a princess without knowing it, but she still carries herself with carefree grace without coming off as too, ballet finger Disney princess. This is a leading woman with weight, standing her ground when she needs to while also being open and humble enough to take advice and encouragement when she needs it. She has amnesia and struggles with an identity crisis, not knowing who she is, where she came from. Her only clue being a necklace she had since before she can remember with the words "together in Paris" on it. Refusing to let her life remain a mystery, she takes a chance and goes to St. Petersburg and searches for a way to get to Paris. Pretty handy to be wearing the plot device for the entire runtime, huh? Dmitri also carries another plot device in his pocket. How convenient! Even the villain carries a reliquary that may or may not be a plot device exactly, but it's never fully explained how this thing works or why, and yet is the one thing that Rasputin is reliant on for his entire existence. I guess we should just be thankful that none of these guys dropped their props anywhere at any point, because jewellery has a habit of being super symbolic to the point of it being stupid. Bartok throws the reliquary away when he thinks it's broken, and Rasputin goes all Mr. Fantastic on us and catches it, revealing his weakness to us pretty early on in the movie. So this is kind of, his demise is kind of predictable, if violent. Oh, also, speaking of stupid, when Anya arrives in St. Petersburg without an exit visa, she is told by this old woman to go see Dmitri. How, convenient. Why, hello, dearie. I am a writer's convenience. Oh, hello. Can you point me in the direction of the Palace of Exposition? Down that way. Gee, that's awfully nice and convenient of you, person I will never see again. You're welcome. I'm just here for a plot convenience. Now I'm off to tell that white bat to eavesdrop on your conversation with Dmitri later on, if that's cool. Anya goes to the old palace where she has a daydream conjuring up her family. She sings the song her grandmother sung to her, which also happens to be the song the music box plays, which Dmitri happens to have but never shows to Anya. Why? I don't know, he's an idiot, I guess, and we've got 90 minutes of runtime to fill. Entranced by how much Anya looks like Princess Anastasia, Dmitri and Vlad convince her to travel with them to Paris and persuade her to pretend that she is the Princess Anastasia and meet the Dowager Empress. Unknown to Anya, however, is that the Empress is offering 10 million rubles for the safe return of her long-lost granddaughter. Throwing money at a communist country for the safe return of a relative causes spontaneous singing and dancing in the streets, apparently. How Anya doesn't find out about the reward is beyond me. I mean, apart from all the singing and dancing in the streets about it, something like that would be all over the papers, surely. I'm sure Anya can read. After Anya begins to slowly remember who she is, Dmitri puts the pieces together before she does and realizes that she is, in fact, the princess. She's not a damsel in distress. She can tie her own shoes and everything. Shame she never had the balls to stand up to a god or actually, sacrifice her own life to save the man she loved. Dmitri had to do that in her place. All she had to do to defeat Rasputin, by the way, was step on the thingy that Rasputin relied on to exist. In designer shoes, no less. Okay, so after rewatching this movie, I noticed things that really didn't stand out to me so much before, but the animation and editing of this movie is a little off. There's awkward cuts all over the place. Repeated and reused animation cycles. Repeated reused animation cycles, how lazy. I mean, using the same pictures for animated character animation over and over again? Who does that? Moving on. The majority of the character animation is obviously rotoscoping. And though this isn't a bad thing, I mean, it's not cheating, it's saving time, right? But is it really animation? Is it really art if you're essentially tracing? Let me put it this way. Anastasia cost $60 million to make. Disney's Hercules, released the same year, had a budget of $85 million. Both films used live-action reference for the character animation in the movies. This is a common thing for all animated movies. However, Anastasia's character animation is a trace-by-trace of the live-action reference. Disney's Hercules is a very stylized look to it, as the character designs are based off Gerald Scarface illustrations and caricatures. Makes sense since he was the production designer of the movie. Anastasia's production designer was Michael Pereza and John Lackey. Or Lakey, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. From what I read, the production for Anastasia was originally going to be very realistic in tone, hence the animation being rotoscoped. But then magic was brought into the picture. So maybe this realistic movement of the characters and its contemporary tone makes the magic come out of nowhere. It's never fully explained exactly what the rules of the magic are, other than when Rasputin says that his entire existence relies on the reliquary. So magic is limited to just the villain of this movie. Convenient. Arguably the best part of any animated movie, well actually any movie regardless if it's animated or live action, is the villain, at least for me. And here, Rasputin just does not fit. Don't get me wrong, he has an awesome design and one of my personal favourite villain songs. But with a villain that keeps switching from being motivated and intimidating to having a bloody meltdown, he's just not all that intimidating. Especially when his bat sidekick is basically his therapist. Saying all that though, there's far more real character animation in Rasputin, making him more expressive, more energetic and stylized than any other character in this movie. This is a problem, as it means when you put Rasputin next to the Dowager Empress, for example, or even Anastasia herself, they look like they're from completely different movies. I'm not saying that Hercules doesn't have its problems with its animation, and it has worse tone problems than Anastasia does, but at least all the characters have a consistent energy and style to them, meaning that all the characters exist in the same aesthetic plane. Put Hercules beside Hades and you know they're from the same movie just by looking at them, regardless of knowing they are actually related and have the same kind of chin. Overall, I find Anastasia to be enjoyable because of its script more than the animation itself. It has tone problems and has characters who serve simply for the sake of writers' convenience. I'm looking at you, Puka. It has good songs in it, and though this is basically a Disney princess movie, it's nice to have a movie about a character trying to figure out her past instead of stressing about her future. At no point was Anastasia concerned about finding a man, even though she had to be saved several times like a damsel in distress, and never once says thank you, by the way. But she does save Dimitri a few times herself, so I guess that's empowering. It's an odd romp, but a fun journey into the past. It's just a shame that Anastasia will never be a Disney princess. I mean, come on. The day Disney owns 20th Century Fox? I'll eat my own hat! That's going to bite me in the ass, isn't it? Well, if Anastasia is a Disney princess now, then so is Rasputin. I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative.